Hello everyone and welcome to week 5 of the TBL. Your New York Empoleons finally got in the win column last week, and we are looking for more here against Hef Nasty and the St. Louis Charizards. His team is 3-1 right now, and we've got our work cut out for us. He's a very, very good battler. We did face him last season. We did beat him last season, but that was a very different team, and that was his first week with the team that he was picking up from a different coach who had drafted it. This is his drafted team, and he's making it work this season, so we're going to have our work cut out for us here if we want to head into the halfway point of the season with a chance at a playoff spot. Now, we got a lot of time left, but I really would rather not lose this match. He is rocking Landorus T, Tapu Fini, Lucario, Azelf, Delmise, Araquanid, Cofagrigus, Ditto, Zebstrika, Murkrow, and Mega Charizard X. We are scared. That team's absolutely horrifying. I don't know what else to say. He's got his own Tapu, so he can counter my Tapu Lele if I decide to bring it. He's got good Rapid Spinners. He's got good access to Sticky Webs. He's got Stealth Rocks. He's got Speed. He's got setup. He's got everything he could ever want, and he's got it all at Landorus T. But beside that, I mean, everything on his team is a huge threat and is really scary, and not to mention Ditto poses a massive problem to just about every team. Now, how are we going to counter a Ditto team with Landorus T and Tapu Fini and all those other threats? Starting off, we are going to bring Mega Lopunny. Now, I know I have not been using Mega Lopunny to its fullest. I know I need to learn how to make this Pokemon work even better because I'm struggling with it a little bit right now. But Mega Lopunny, Lola's coming back this week. She is going to be Limber this time, just in case he decides to try to paralyze me. I don't know. And that way, before I Mega Evolve, can't be paralyzed. Fake Out, High Jump Kick, Return, and Ice Punch. Now, because my sets are gen for me, Return is going to be awkward. I'm hoping that I can make it 255 Happiness before the battle, but right now, as of recording this, I have berries growing, and I need some of them to be finished before I have this battle tonight, so we'll see how that goes. But Fake Out, High Jump Kick, Return, Ice Punch, Max Attack, Adamant with 236 speed allows me to outspeed everything unboosted on his team, including a Zebstrika, which is the fastest thing he has. And then 20 in HP because that's where the EVs fell. Now this thing is really, really designed to counter a couple of leads. This is a lead Mega Lopunny. It's going to fake out. I'm not bringing Lele, so I can fake out indefinitely throughout the match. I've got Return, which does as much damage as Thunder Punch would do to anything that was weak to it, and nothing is immune to it because of Scrappy once I Mega Evolve. And I've got High Jump Kick, which really only handles like Lucario, which can handle the Return really well. And otherwise I don't really need High Jump Kick for anything else. And then Ice Punch handles things like the Delmise, like the Landorus T, Murkrow, etc. Fake Out Return can handle pretty much everything on his team as long as I can get that return to max happiness, which is still kind of in the works. So I'm kind of fingers crossed hoping that happens. I will keep you posted when the battle comes out, whether or not that one worked out. Next up, we have Static Shock, the Jolteon, Flame Orb Quick Feet, because Flame Orb Quick Feet is basically a Choice Scarf if he does set up his Sticky Webs. Now, I've got Volt Switch, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power Ice, and Synchro Noise. Yes, max special attack, Modest Nature with 140 speed, 168 outspeeds Mega Charizard X, even after a Dragon Dance, even if there's Sticky Webs, and it outspeeds a Modest Azelf, or Modest or Adamant Azelf, and outspeeds most of his team, pretty much just without any problem. And then because of the Flame Orb Quick Feet, if he doesn't set up a Sticky Webs, it outspeeds everything on his team, even if it's Scarfed, and it outspeeds just about everything, even if he gets up a Dragon Dance with Mega Charizard, even after Sticky Webs, which is really cool. Volt Switch, I mean, that's utility. Shadow Ball is for things like the Delmise, and his Elf. Hidden Power Ice for Lando T, and Synchro Noise is because Ditto is a very, very common and safe switch into Jolteon. Expecting maybe for me to be Volt Absorb. He's got the Zebstrika, which is immune to a lot of my, not a lot of, it's immune to my electric attacks, probably. I doubt he's going to be running Sap Sipper on that thing. So Synchro Noise actually does a lot of work. It 2-hit KOs both the Ditto and the Zebstrika, and in fact, because of the way that my Jolteon is set up with the 116 HP, his Ditto should not be able to 2-hit KO me back with Synchro Noise, where I can 2-hit KO him with Synchro Noise. Plus, it's a speed tie if he's Scarfed because of the Flame Orb. If he's Scarfed and there's Sticky Webs up, it's a speed tie with the Flame Orb Quick Feet. So, I think this thing should be able to put in a lot of work. Synchro Noise is there to handle things like the Zebstrika and the Ditto, but otherwise, Volt switching off of most everything else in his team is going to be very free if he does decide to go into the Landorus T for some reason. I'm not choiced into it, so I can always just click Hidden Power Ice on the return from there. Next up, we have Cradle Me the Cradilly. Holding the leftovers, Storm Drain for its ability, Rock Slide, Toxic, Stealth Rock, Recover. Very standard set. I know he's the Finny, so I have to watch out for that with the Toxic, but Toxicing the Murkrow, Toxicing Araquanid, Delmise, Landorus T, Azelf, Mega Charizard X. I mean, those are all really useful things to Toxic, and this thing is kind of designed to come in on Tapu Fini and be able to handle it. But the other thing is that it's designed to be able to come in on Araquanid and handle it. So it needs to be able to handle those two things. I couldn't really afford to put on a Grass-type move unless I got rid of Toxic, and I really liked having Toxic on this thing. Grass-type move get walled by too much of his team in Delmise, in Mega Charizard X, and stuff like that, that it really wasn't worth putting it on there. Toxic seemed more useful to me. Stealth Rock is, of course, very important with the Araquanid, with the Charizard, the Murkrow. He's got some real weaknesses to it, so I do want the Stealth Rocks up. I know he's going to have some way of removing them at some point, so I have to watch out for that. He's got possible Delmise Rapid Spin. He's got possible Defog with Landorus T or Tapu Fini. So I do have to watch out for that, but I think this thing can come in and handle some threats. It is max defense Impish nature, so that it's not lowering its attack because of the Rock Slide. 4 speed, because some of his stuff, like Araquanid, he could try to outspeed my Cradilly. He could try to speed Creep Cradilly, Delmise, Araquanid, stuff like that. And so the 4 speed was left over anyway, and I figured it made sense there instead of attack, because attack, it doesn't change any of my calcs. And there, if he does speed creep me, at least it's a speed tie, and who knows what can happen when there's a speed tie. Next up, we have New York, the Empoleon, holding the Shukaberry once again, defiant for its ability this week because of the sticky webs. Earthquake, Liquidation, Knockoff, and Rock Slide. This thing is max attack Adamant, max HP as well. Shukaberry can take an Earthquake from a Landorus T. It in fact can even take a Groundium Z from a Landorus T and OHKO it back with Liquidation as long as the sticky webs are up. It can OHKO almost everything on his team with the exception of Tapu Fini if the Stealth Rocks are up. And in fact, because of the fact that it has the Shukaberry, Ditto switching in on it, getting that huge boost up does not OHKO me back with an Earthquake. So I can get off an Earthquake, I get outsped by the Ditto. Earthquake comes out, he hits me, it's a 2-hit KO, I hit him with Earthquake, it's a 1-hit KO, we win that match. So, Empoleon, the Shukaberry made a lot of sense this week. I thought about running the Fighting Berry for Lucario, but Chople Berry didn't make as much sense as Shuka this week because of the fact that he has other threats that can run ground-type attacks, more than he has that can run fighting-type attacks. Next up, we have Dreidel, the Claydol with the Pasho Berry, Trick Room, Rapid Spin, Ice Beam, and Earth Power. Now, this Empoleon loves functioning with sticky webs. I'm really hoping he does decide to set them up. And because of that, Trick Room made a lot of sense. If I can get to outspeed things with it for 3 turns or so and just OHKO everything on his team, that would be huge. Now, I don't necessarily need to click Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin is more of a bailout option if the Empoleon goes down, Claydol's still alive, and I do need to get rid of the webs because my Mega Lopunny doesn't love them, and Jolteon does better without them. So some of my team does better without them. I think Rapid Spin makes sense to have as a bailout, but as long as Empoleon's alive, the sticky webs just don't bother me that much. Ice Beam, obviously handling Lando T and Murkrow, and then Earth Power handling just about everything else in his team, or at least being relatively neutral on everything. Azelf pretty hard walls this, so I have to watch out for that, but because of the Pasho Berry, I can switch it on Tapu Fini just fine. I can switch on Araquanid okay. And that's the way that this is going to be run. Now, hopefully this thing does get a chance to get a Trick Room up and then does get a chance to switch out. I was thinking about running something like Red Card on it, but there's no way I can get the Trick Room up on a Red Card safely anyway. Not a Red Card, a Eject button. So, because the Eject button would come off first before I click Trick Room because it's got minus priority. So I tried to figure out something like that, but instead I decided to go with the Pasho Berry just so I could eat a Water type hit and then to get the Trick Room up, maybe let it die on the next turn, bring in my Empoleon, get 3 turns of Trick Room with it. With that Defiant boost, it's huge. If the Landorus T switches in, I get another +1. So it really does handle Landorus T very, very well, my Empoleon. Doesn't mind being intimidated at all. And finally, we have Scolipede Jet, holding the Beginnium Z, speed boost for its ability, Rock Slide, Mega Horn, Spikes, and Protect. The Stealth Rocks are more important to me this week, but Spikes would be really, really nice. They do wall a little bit more of his team. They help whittle things down that I need to whittle down. Protect allows me to get that speed back if there are sticky webs, and because of my speed investment at 204 with a neutral nature on the speed, that gets me to 158, which outspeeds Landorus T every single time. It outspeeds Lucario every single time, Finny every single time. It doesn't necessarily go so far as to outspeeding the things it would never outspeed because I didn't really care, so Azelf and Zebstrika are huge problems for it, and additionally a Jolly Mega Charizard X would be a problem for it as well. Now, Rock Slide allows me to not let Charizard be a safe switch-in or set up a Dragon Dance safely. Beginnium Z Mega Horn, I mean, that hits basically everything on his team ridiculously hard, and it's just a huge attack. I went with an Adamant Nature to make sure that I was buffing that attack as much as I possibly could. And then 44 HP, making it an odd number so that the Stealth Rocks don't do as much if he does set them up. And then 4 in defense and 4 in special defense are just where those decided to fall. Now, this team, I think I prepped well for my opponent's team this week. I think Hef has a very good team, but hopefully, this being the first match, he's not necessarily ready. I have not brought a Defiant Empoleon. I have definitely not brought a team that looked like this. I'm working within Sticky Webs and without Sticky Webs, so I'm kind of hoping, kind of able to adjust depending on what happens. Obviously, my Empoleon prefers them, but everything else is okay without them. It's not like I'm really running a Trick Room team. I do have Trick Room for the Empoleon, but it's really that just for that. This team has a lot of potential. I think it has a good chance to do well this week. I need to make sure that I sit down and make the right plays. I know I've been having some trouble with that recently. I keep thinking back about like, okay, I did this and it went wrong. Why? And so hopefully this week I can do it in the moment and be like, nope, nothing went wrong. It just went the way that I wanted it to. Obviously, Mega Horn is 85% accurate. Rock Slide is 90% accurate. So I do have some moves that are not 100% accurate, which never goes well for me. But I'm going to try it out this week. We'll see how it goes. We do face Hef again later this season. It's only the halfway point. If we are in bad position, we can always make our way back. So hopefully we can claw our way back in the second half of the season. We put ourselves in this spot, so it's our fault. Now we do have a chance to make the ground up here and now. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with that battle. Hopefully you guys stay well until then. Take care, everybody.